What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. Will Gelling here, sports and performance nutritionist. And today we're talking about combining resistance training with endurance training and what you get when you put them together. Roll that intro. That's right. Today we're going to be talking about combining resistance training with endurance training. And this is called concurrent training. That's because they're done concurrently. This is something I get asked about a lot because I'm a really big guy and my background is in powerlifting and strongman. And I have switched over and do a lot more cycling and endurance sport now while still lifting. And it's also something a lot of you do in the off season and pre-season to get ready for next year, whether that's about rehabilitation or focusing on building your peak power or just getting more muscle mass on you. Because with obviously more muscle mass, we get more power. Now, I've looked at a lot of research of this, going way back to 1980 with the first study looking at it from Hickson et al., or even more recent now with the latest study that I read by Shamim et al. In 2018, so only 2 years ago. And we're going to review that study a little bit later on in this video. Concurrent training is combining resistance-based training with endurance training, and why we want to do that, and then the things and the caveats that we need to look out for to get the most out of it. Because I imagine a lot of you are either doing this already or will be planning to come wintertime. So first off, the benefits. Doing resistance-based training will improve peak power, will increase your lean muscle mass through myofibrillar hypertrophy, which is the main basis of building muscle mass. Though you can do it in other ways, it's just the most effective. It can also build some level of lactate threshold through certain forms of training, like high-intensity continuous training. It can help with any injuries and issues that we need to work through, because obviously cycling and running are very one-dimensional. So branching out of that and moving in different dimensions can really improve and reduce our potential to get injured, or just working on the muscles that don't get worked doing those sports to once again prevent injury. Also working on other muscle groups like your glutes and your core or trunk to help stabilize you on positions in the bike. And most of all, especially for those of you out there who are cyclists, this sport is a no-impact sport, and resistance training does improve bone density, which is something that's really important as you come into your older years or in your adolescence, where bone formation is really important, especially for you females that are going through menopause. Now that we know the benefits of resistance training, we need to know how we should lay this out in our week and the considerations that we need to make if we are going to do that alongside an endurance-based program. Now there's something called interference factors. And this is essentially when we have endurance training and it has its own signal. And then resistance training has its own signal. And this purpose is to build strength, power, and force. Whereas this one is to make you more resistant to fatigue and to improve your ability to use oxygen and take on oxygen to use for aerobic capacity work or aerobic training. So they have very different origins and purposes. So as you can imagine, if you did this one and then went straight into this one, the signals are really different and they get all scrambled and you don't get the most out of it. You won't improve your strength or gain as much lean muscle mass as you would if you just did this one as a signal in a session, or if then you did cardio work and you just focused on that. And this is what they found. If you do the session on the same day, which you can, you should separate them by at least 6 hours, if not up to 24 hours. And that's because you need time for that signal not to be interfered and to get the adaptation and the recovery going for that endurance exercise or vice versa before you do the other. And this is why, once again, it's called an interference factor. So remember, if you are doing this, leave 6 to 24 hours duration between sessions of different types. Duration is another factor we need to think about. The longer the duration, the more time you need to give between sessions. This is because obviously there's going to be a greater demand and a greater period of recovery and adaptation from that session. There's going to be a huge difference between a 1 hour session and a 4 hour session. So that would make sense as to why you'd probably want to leave a little bit longer between those sessions. We also know that running needs more time between that and doing resistance training as well. This is because there's more eccentric loading and more muscle fiber damage happening in running than compared to cycling. And especially when cycling does have some level of resistance-based exercise. So ultimately, what I'm trying to help you here with is making sure that you separate your sessions enough so you know what you need to be doing so you get the most out of those sessions when you come to doing any resistance-based work and endurance-based work. Nutritionally, what can we do? Well, we've seen with that study by Shamim et al. 2018 that I mentioned, that having high protein intakes of 2 grams per kilogram body weight or higher over a day will not impair your ability to adapt to exercise, though still following those previous caveats of making sure that we're leaving 6 hours between sessions. And their study was great. They had 32 males, all around 24 years old. They were healthy men and reasonably active. They divided them into 3 groups. We had a resistance-based one, an endurance-based one, and then a concurrent one, doing both of them. This was 3 days, and this was 6. So they did the combination of the previous 2 programs. It was 12 weeks, and they compared both the gain in lean muscle mass, gain in peak power, the Wingate test, which looks at high-intensity intermittent performance. They looked at force production, 1 rep maxes, and just overall lean gains across upper and lower body. And the results were really fantastic. There was improvement across the board, even with the resistance people in doing a VO2 max or a Wingate test, mainly because it is a high intensity session, so that strength will carry over. But what we definitely saw between the endurance-based individuals and the concurrent ones was that the concurrent individuals had a bigger increase in peak power over that 12 weeks and had a larger increase in lean muscle mass. This is going to have a big factor because more muscle mass means that when you come to doing purely just endurance-based training, you'll have more power and your FTP should go up if you do the right training. So I'm going to summarize all this information to make it really easy for you guys there. So if you are doing both resistance training and endurance training, we want to leave 6 to 24 hours between sessions. We want to give even more time, the longer the duration of endurance-based sessions. So if you're doing 4 hours or something, probably leave a full day in between sessions. That modes of exercise like running also require more time between resistance-based sessions. And that having high protein intakes improves our ability to adapt and still gain lean muscle mass when doing 2 forms of exercise. So now we've summarized all of those subjects. It's giving you a good idea about how to manage your week. But if you would like more information on this, maybe drop a comment down below and tell me that you'd like a video of me covering different ways of doing this and how you could plan your week and what kinds of training sessions we could do to improve endurance performance the most. As always guys, do drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me and really helps motivate me to keep doing these videos for you guys. Remember, fuel for the work required, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.